Hello, everyone. It's been a really long time since I've put out any content. It's been about almost 11 years to be exact. And I'm really excited to bring a new, fresh perspective to trading, to Forex trading specifically, and just to share what I've learned after so many years. I'm really excited, and I've wanted to take time to put together a course and give back. I think it's really important for people to have great free content to view, to go over, to study, and especially in the beginning of your trading journey, or if you're someone who's been wanting to trade for a long time, but you've been inconsistent. A lot of people have been on their journey for a very long time and with very little success, sadly. Most people do not profit when trading, and my goal is to change that narrative and to make sure that people have content that does resonate with them, that they're able to go apply immediately, content that's simple. Trading ideas that are simple. I think that a kid should be able to learn this. So I am really, really excited. Literally 11 years later, coming back, and I'm putting together a variety of videos that I believe will be really helpful for the new trader, the advanced trader, everyone in between. I definitely want to make an impact in that way. And I look forward to sharing as much as I can on here about my experiences. Trading has led me all around the world. I'm so grateful for the 11 years since that point of posting my first video on YouTube. I always knew that I would come back and bring content, but I have been all over the world since. I currently live in Africa, Tunisia with my family. I have three beautiful children, one in my belly on the way right now. I have an amazing husband. God has been really, really good to us, and we've been trading, my husband and myself, now full time for this entire period since I put out that video, my first video on here, my second video, up until this point. So it's just really a blessing, and I pray that each person who finds trading, whatever your reasonings are, that you're able to find abundance with it, and that you're able to hone in on your skill set, and that some of my teachings will hopefully be a part of that. So I'm not going to take too much time. This is going to be our first video today, which will be about trends. And we're going to take each trading concept. I'm going to go throughout, like I said, I'm going to put out tons of content as much as I can on each specific technicals trading topic. So today we're going to focus on trends. Soon we'll have candlesticks, we'll have support and resistance. So keep coming back to my channel, subscribe. I definitely look forward to sharing as much content as I can. And right now we're going to start off with trends. Before I get going, I want to say that I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Anything that I teach you on here is strictly my opinion, strictly my thoughts, my experiences, and that's something that you can use for a resource to help you chart better and hopefully make better decisions in your trading. So let's go ahead and get going, get into it. All right, so for one, with trends is a very simple concept. I don't like it to be too complicated. Nothing with trading should be overly complicated. Trading needs to be as simple as possible. It needs to be something that you can absolutely pick apart, and that it's made that your mind can remember it. So the number one thing with trading is that, the first concept that anyone will learn is to trend trade. Trading with the trend is trading with the momentum of the market, okay? And so how you do that is by finding the points that would allow you to get in. So I always say, whenever you're first starting out and you're looking at the charts, we use candlesticks, which are these blue. Hopefully, if you're watching this, you know what candles are, because you'll probably have watched my candlestick video. But these candlesticks are these red candles. So the blue candles represent price going up, and the red candles represent price coming down. We have price over here on the right-hand side. Again, there'll be a whole video for you to go check out that has to do with price. So if you haven't done that, you'll check that out. But we're always viewing price with the picture, so candlesticks give us a picture viewpoint of the market. And those candlesticks create this view that looks like a trend, right? So if you think about a trend, something that's trending is something that's popular. something that is growing. It has a lot of volume, right? And so there's three types of trends in the market. You've got uptrends, which is what we're going to take a look at in depth in a sec. And then we've got downtrends. We're going to look at that too. And then we also have a sideways trend, which is called consolidation. So an uptrend is when the market obviously is going up. And a lot of people, they make the mistake, especially when they first start trading, they expect an uptrend to look like this. Hold on. Let me re-grab the arrow so I can really show what I meant. They expect this uptrend. How do I get rid of that? They expect an uptrend to look like this. Straight up to the moon, right? So when you hear uptrend, you think going up. But the reality of what a true uptrend is that it has a push and then it has a pullback, right? So it has a continuation, which is when the arrow is going up, going higher, and then it has a pullback when the market is pulling back down. We've got to push up, we've got to pull back down, okay? This happens for a few reasons, and it's important that any trader really understands why it's happening. That happens when basically volume is pulled out of the market. So whenever the market starts to rise, that means that a lot of people, or fall, that means that a lot of people, banks, institutions, there's a lot of volume pushing in that direction, pushing price up, right? So when we see that big push that's happening and taking place, there's a lot of volume that's happening. So if we look back over here, the candlesticks never look as pretty as my drawings over here, but what we're able to see is kind of the perfect picture, what we can kind of look for within those candlesticks. So you'll start to see a big push that creates kind of that peak. Same thing over here, very similar. And then you'll see a pull back downward, right? So the market never goes straight up when it's in an uptrend. And a lot of people believe when they hear uptrend, so they'll freak out if the market's pulling back on them or going against them at a point. And this is why trading is a skill, and you have to learn the proper places to get in, because you can't just enter in on a buy just because the market's in an uptrend. You can never do that. What we have to do is find the correct point to get into the trade. And so a lot of people, I call it, a lot of people who gamble for real because they don't know. They may just place a buy and they'll leave it for days or hours, and they'll wake up and the market's up here, right? But they didn't have a strategic way that they got in or thought to get in. They just placed that buy. But if you really want to grow in your trading, it's having what I call, the desire to have a perfect entry majority of the time when you get into trades. For most of your trades to look very similar and for them to kind of have like a pattern and a rhythm, it's really important that you are able to execute the same style of a trade consistently. And how you do that is knowing the spot that you're looking for to get in. So the most ideal spot in an uptrend, you look over here at my key points that I wrote out for you guys really quick. You see in the uptrends create higher highs and higher lows, or higher peaks and higher valleys, which if you look, if we started from here, here's a low or a valley, a low point. So if we look right here, here's a low, a valley, low. Then when it pushes up and it gets that momentum, people in the market buying, it's starting to create a trend. Something's trending, an artist is trending, so they're rising up, right? Whatever, there could be so many things trending. A person can be trending. Caitlin Clark is trending. You name it, like that in basketball, there's all types of things that are trending. And what happens is there's a big push, right? And so then when people start to fall off the bandwagon, or there's not much interest, or again, in the market, people are taking their money out of the market. So that's what's happening. People close their trades out and we get a fall backward, right? So that's where we would see after the big push, after the first high, let's say, the market pulls back down. So now we get a higher low. Why is it called a higher low? Just like same to over here. It's called a higher low because it's still a low point, but it's higher than the previous low. So the higher low in an uptrend is actually your buying point. It's where you want to be in on the trade. A lot of people, like I said, buy in the middle, buy at the peak, and this is a very poor choice especially if you're wanting not to have drawdown. My most valued skill set is probably being able to get the lowest amount of drawdown period, which is being negative in your trade. If you can really aim not to be negative in your trade, or as least negative as possible, what that's going to do is relieve a lot of your stress. All of us go negative in trade, so don't get confused what I'm saying here. What I mean is make sure that you're in at a proper place that allows you a lot of confidence in that trade, and that you're not in, like I said, this is I call this a rough zone, right? This is a C-level trade. This is not a trade you want to be in if you're buying. You want to be in the lowest point possible. And if you think about kind of the common thought process that people say when they think of trading any instrument, stocks, crypto, anything, what do we say? Buy low, sell high, right? So your goal is ultimately to be as low as possible when you are trading, all right? And when you're buying, not when you're trading, but when you are buying the uptrend, okay? So we're going to look at like what a really ideal and what a good looking uptrend looks like. But again, an uptrend is comprised of higher highs. So this would be a high. Here's a higher low. Here's a higher high. Higher low, higher high. Higher low. If I drew another one, higher high. So if you look over here, again, you can see the market never moves vertically, it moves diagonally, right? We see that the market is moving diagonally when it is uptrending. So we see sometimes it can get a little bit stressful and hectic for people to read through the trend. So I want you guys to kind of take a look with me. I'm going to go through and type out how to label, your uptrend so that you can start to practice viewing where the higher low should be. Because again, your goal, like I put over here, when trading the uptrend, your objective is to buy at the pullback, at the end of the pullback, which is the higher low. So you're always buying at the low point. So if we kind of looked through, let's start over here because I think this is a good area for you to view. We said this was a low point right here. So if you bought, here's the first high. So if you had bought from here to here, likely you'd be exiting by this point. We'll talk about that in later videos. Right now, we're just looking at the higher low and the higher high. So here's a low, here's a high. Here's a higher low. We see how the market pulls back, right? Just like a pullback over here. Doesn't look picture perfect how I pulled this arrow down, but you can see the market pulls back for hours. We're on the 1 hour chart. So this definitely is pulling back for some time. Then look, we get another higher high. Why? This high is higher than the previous high. So this is a high point, it's a peak, but this is a higher peak. Here's another higher low. It pulls back a little bit, right? Now, a lot of people get caught up on like, is this a good pullback to mark off? What you're going to learn to do is to kind of view it yourself on if you like the look of that pullback. So for me, this wasn't a good pullback. To me, this is I'm able to clearly see a defined pullback here. That's what I look for. This one candle wasn't enough, so I don't count that as a pullback. But from where we started off, here's our first low, here's our high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Now look at this. This is a higher high. Now, I wouldn't have counted this as a higher low, so we'll just it didn't really pull back. It just went further up. So we just even come here. Here's the highest high. Nothing else counts as a pullback to me in here. So if we went through actually, and let's make it very clear, here's our first low. Here's our first high. Here's our higher low, AKA a great buy point. Here's our next higher high. Here's our next higher low, another great buy point. Here's our next higher high, okay? Now, if you look over here on the left-hand side where I marked up, I said the uptrend is momentarily over when it fails to create a higher high or a higher peak. Why is that? Because the whole point of the uptrend, the whole thought behind the uptrend is that the uptrend has the volume in the direction to the upside, right? So the buyer is ruling and reigning in this period of time. So once buyers show us that they're weak, we have to believe them, okay? A lot of trading has to do with not going it's going against your own self-thought, your own ego, your own thought process, and it's actually really assessing what you're looking at and being able to analyze the market and see it for what it is, not what your emotions feel, not what you believe is going to happen, not what you hope is going to happen, but what is actually happening. And so when you trade in that way, especially when you first start off, when you first begin trading, the whole goal is to sort of do things on wash, rinse, repeat, being able to see things and believe it. And why I say that's one of the greatest things you can do when you're analyzing is because a lot of the times the market is telling you the truth. Most times you won't get tricked if you follow what the market did tell you or show you, okay? Unless there was a big fundamental news event, something crazy that took place. The market's given you all the keys. You have to be able to have the skill set in your toolbox to say, okay, this is how to analyze this. This is how to analyze this. So a big part of remembering when reading your trends, because people ask me often, how do I know when the trend is over? You know, how do I know if I'm too late on getting in, right? After the market starts to take off. So we'll cover a few of those key points in a sec. But for this specific point right now, the end of this uptrend would be right exactly where my mouse is at, where my red dot is, indicating that we got a higher low, but look, we do not get a higher high. We get a lower high. So at this point, we actually see the market decline in its momentum. So the market told us, it showed us, it's kind of like watching it run out of steam. I would be a fool to believe something something else is going to happen after it showed me exactly what was going to happen, okay? And so until the market starts that same pattern back up again, you know, right now the uptrend is over. And so what we have to look at is that there became a downtrend pattern that started to take place. And again, this is not, you have to respectively view a trend based off of the time period that you're on, right? Because the 1 minute has it has a trend. The 5 minute has a trend. The hour has a trend. So normally, whenever we're viewing and trying to find the overall trend, we'll look between like the 4 hour, the 1 hour to get that sentiment. And that's what we're doing right now. But you'll see again, right now we have the new reversal. We have from this point, we made a higher low, but then we had a lower high. And then you can see it starts to make a lower low, lower high, lower low, which we'll get into for the downtrend. It's the complete opposite. So I just want to go in really, really quick and show you guys also a way that you can practice marking up your higher highs and higher lows. It's very simple. And let me get out of dictation really quick. I think I need to come back to my trading view. Here we go. And let's make this an arrow. All right. So a really quick way for you to practice is for you to start off and mark off very simply. Here's a low. I'm gonna put that right there. All right, so my low point, you can kind of see price. Price was actually in an uptrend from all the way back here, but I found the point that I thought is very easy for everyone that's viewing this video to learn. Because if you look from back here, even here was a low, here was a high. We had basically consolidation, which is the market moving sideways, but it was a higher low right here. Then we got a higher high. Higher low, then a higher high. Higher low, higher high, higher low, highest high. Right? But we'll start from right here. Here's our low. Here's our high. Okay. And then I'm going to put HL for ease. Here's our higher low, AKA our really ideal point to buy in, the pullback. And remember, we never can take a trade just based solely off of a trend. We don't do that. But what I am giving you is your first key to understanding where you should be looking to get into a trade, okay? So we're gonna go speed this up. Here's a higher low. We got our higher high, right? Our higher peak. So remember, we're never buying at the peak. We're never doing that. We're always buying at the low. Here's our higher low. All right, and then here's our higher high right up here, highest high. Cool. All right, and after that, you see the trend ends. The trend is over because we failed to make a higher high. That failing to make a higher high ends our uptrend. All right, let's move on to the downtrend really quickly. Very similar. Once you learn one, it's very easy to learn the next one. I already typed out some of my key. I have to remove those drawings. Oops, let's remove these drawings here. My annotation. Let's remove. Boom, and let's go back. All right. What I'm going to actually do, I hope they will give me a choice here to undo what I just did. Here we go. Here, 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 here. Here we go. All right. So our downtrend key points, it's very similar to the uptrend. I already found a downtrend that I like. It will go through. We kind of can look at, the different look between the both of them. And I also think I can kind of like weave in some consolidation too. But our downtrend key points are very similar. Downtrends are made up of lower lows and lower highs, aka lower peaks and lower valleys, whatever works for your mind, whatever helps you remember. I also suggest like grabbing a piece of paper and drawing out, just like how I just drew. Let me grab my annotation again. Just like how I just drew this, it was the opposite for the uptrend. We're going to do the opposite side for the downtrend here. Do this on a piece of paper and mark off, what's what. Here's a high. Let me get my spotlight. Here's a high. Here's a low. Here's a lower high, right? Because this is a high point, it's a peak. It's just a lower peak than this one. So lower peak, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Similarly to the uptrend, it's the same thing. When the downtrend fails to make a lower low, the trend is over. You can look at all of the key points. Pullbacks and continuations create these patterns. When trading a downtrend, your objective is to sell at the high point. Our objective would be to sell up here, sell up here, sell up here. We want to sell and catch the drop, okay? And so ideally, now honestly, people always ask me, do you like buying or do you like selling? Which one do you like more? I like them both. I like, depending upon the market, sometimes you'll just notice that certain trends, or certain pairs trend, they may have really beautiful uptrends, like USD JPY uptrends often. So I like the uptrends that it has. I feel like they're easy to look at and get into. Their pullbacks are smooth. Similarly, over here, we see really nice looking downtrends. We're going to look at that. If you look, so I'm going to take my spotlight and we can look. We got a high, right? Then we've got our first low, right? So we see from here to here, we drop, the market drops. So if you sold up here at this peak, you would be hoping to exit at that point, right? Before the market pulls back. So then it pulls up, which is the pullback that we know has to happen. We want that to happen because we want an opportunity for entry. If we didn't catch this, we're hoping to catch this. So here's our second opportunity. Here's a higher low. We get another opportunity to sell it. Boom, it sells, it drops off. Now look, we get another pullback, right? We get a lower high again. But if we sold that, even if we held it to here, it does not make a lower low. So if I pull my arrow right here, just to show, make sure you see, from here to here, that low right there is higher than the previous low. This low is the lowest one that was made, right? So just like back on the uptrend that we had the highest high. The highest high ended the uptrend. The lowest low is going to end the downtrend. If there's not a lower low, the downtrend's over. That means the momentum of the seller has been lost. So if we go back, let me just remove those. If we come back over here, I like for you to see multiple examples. You see over here, we had a high, we had a low. This is a very weird consolidated pullback. So we'll just say right here that we had a lower high, right? Or any of these points, lower high, all of those were lower highs, but lower high right here, here's a lower low, right? Lower high right here, here's a same low. So if you notice in here, it started to make same lows, which means that the market failed and ended its downtrend from over here as well, because once it stops making lower lows, we can never count it as an uptrend or a downtrend or an uptrend at that point. Once the market starts doing same lows, same high, same, in between, it's kind of creating a little bit of a box where you can see around it that it's stuck in this same little area, stuck in this same little zone, little channel. There's no consistent momentum shift. You can see very clearly that no one was ruling or winning over here. And that's what you want very clearly with your downtrend. You want to see your lower low, your lower high. So here's our high, here's our low, here's our lower high, our lower low. Then you can see it switches into an uptrend, which we just covered. I'm going to go find one more downtrend because I want you guys to have an even clearer perspective and view. But you see it switches into the uptrend. So after that, we got our high. Then you see what happens. Here's a higher low. Now look, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. See how it caps off right here? No more higher high for a second. So it doesn't make another higher high, it just makes a higher low. So you see, breaks out again, starts to find that pattern. So the biggest thing is if you cannot identify it, and if you look, this is why I really love this downtrend right here. It was very easy for me to pinpoint it. You want to look for points in the market that are easy for you to spot and to view, right? Trends that are easy for you to read. And this would be both. Going back through just really quickly before I move on, I want to make sure that I do consistency, baby. I have to put the same marks for you guys really quick. So here was our high, just real quick. And then here's our low. And again, you want to find points that have a few of these because I think it's important for you to keep practicing it. So I'm going to go and see in a sec if I can go find you just a little bit of a longer standing downtrend. So I feel like our uptrend was a little bit longer standing. There's a lower high, AKA the point we would want to sell. So we had two sell opportunities. If we didn't catch the first one, we could have caught that second one, all from understanding what a trend looks like. Here's a lower low. I marked that off as LL, right? Again, take a piece of paper, do this for yourself. Very simple to do, or come to your charts, do this for yourself as much as it takes until you're able to really see and you're able to very, very much see clearly when a trend is over, so that you don't get manipulated by the market. A lot of times people feel like they're manipulated, but they're only manipulated because they don't understand as much as they think they do. And the only way to find greater understanding is to constantly seek it. To be a greater analyzer, you have to analyze the market on a very deep level, put in a lot of time and work into that. You don't wake up $1 million trader. I've been blessed to do that in my career, but you don't wake up one. You put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. You take a lot of losses. You take a lot of time to reflect and to grow. So put the work and the energy and the effort into your trading, put it into your lifestyle around trading. And it will pay you back. It's going to pay you back. It doesn't pay everyone the same amount back, but everyone has the opportunity to really cash in on this if you put the time and the work into it. So really quick, here's another downtrend, beautiful uptrend over here on the left, but a very easy to read downtrend right here. So we have a high. We've got a very clear low, right? Then we get a lower high. So see how very easy to spot right here. Here's a lower low right here. Right, here's a lower high. And then here's our last lower low right here. So we're to put lowest low. Boom. And that's our last one. And you see it didn't go any lower, so that ends the downtrend. So in this situation, we had 3 opportunities. We had 3 points that were great and possible ideal selling points, great ideal selling points here, 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 right? So for that downtrend, we had 3 opportunities. The market starts to downtrend later, but for a little bit, it consolidated for like about a day in between there. So seeing and pinpointing a good downtrend and a good uptrend should be your goal. And really, the only way that you do that is by practice, practice, practice. Go back, take notes on what we covered throughout this session. It's a very, very simple session, but I hope that you learned something throughout this session. Going back, here's our uptrend key points. You're going to take those, screenshot those, come back to this video, look at it as much as you need to. Like I said, do exercises, go chart by chart, marking up your higher highs and your higher lows, your lower highs and your lower lows for your downtrend. And I will see you guys on the next video. If you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out to me. Again, you can find me on Instagram at Storm Bijan. That's Storm Bijan. And on Facebook, you can find me at Storm Bijan Bryant, Bijan Bryant. I love you guys. I hope that this video finds you blessed and put that work in. I'll see y'all soon. God bless.